Hi there. As we continue with our top five teams in the Western Conference, we move on to number three, the Memphis Grizzlies at 22 and 13, 6 and 4 in the last 10. This is a team that I've always been trying to keep an eye on, and unfortunately, some injuries have been happening. But they've been able to stay afloat with the play of Ja Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr. is coming on. Desmond Bane was hot earlier in the season. Dylan Brooks, things of that. They're able to play so well that on that side. Um, and just be young and brash and trying to take on all comers. That's always been a calling card of Memphis, even back to the grit and grind days. So to see some type of pulse and swagger and uh, when all the smoke type of emotions that this team brings, it's awesome to see that. As we look into their team here on the offensive rating, they're 115.4 points per game, for ninth in the league, and their offensive rating is 13th. Their defense is 9, and their defensive rating is 3rd in the league. So that's telling you that this team is able to do it on both sides of the ball. The thing that I think about this team is that they're very heavy reliantly on Ja Morant to basically create, and maybe that was a source of Desmond Bane being out. I'll get into that in the next part of this. But Memphis has always been one of those teams that want to go after the top teams in the West. Ja Morant recently said he only wants the Celtics and he'll be fine in the West. I believe he dropped a game to the Pelicans, the Nuggets, and the Suns, I believe, over the next 3 games after saying that. So he's got to be careful with that, but they're not afraid of anybody. They're going to go after everybody. Let's look at their stats. Ja Morant at 26.8 points per game, 8.1 assists, and 6.2 rebounds. He is probably the most electrifying player in the league right now, other than outside of Luka and Zion. But in terms of the point guard position, he is everything for the league right now as at the point guard position, with the athletic ability, the ability to finish, even adding the three ball to his game, which is very impressive and needed to step in his development to keep defenses honest, to keep them off balance. His ability to get to the basket and finish in highlights is awesome, second to none. One of the more entertaining players in the league there. I can't say enough about Ja Morant, the way he leads this team, the way he commands this team out there every night and wanting all the smoke. Desmond Bane was at 22 points per game, 4.9 rebounds, and 3.9 assists as that second in command there on the scoring ability, but he's only played 16 games this season. That has been unfortunate. He was up to 25 points per game at the two-guard spot, right there next to Jaylen Brown, who Celtics fans always claim, who we should have kept Desmond Bane as well. And look at what they could have been. But he's in Memphis now, thriving. He's injured. He's recently came back, trying to get his footing back to where he was to start the season. And we'll see if he can do that. Dylan Brooks at 17.1% points per game at 41% from the field. And of course, you want that efficiency to pick up, but he's usually another scorer for this team, a little offensive firepower, kind of like a J.R. Smith kind of role in terms of shooting and scoring for the team. He's been able to do that so far this season and has been a big help to Ja Morant since Desmond Bane and Jaren Jackson Jr. missed the start of the season. Moving on to Jaren Jackson Jr., I believe he's only played 18 games this season, but he's at 15.9 points per game and 3 blocks a game. He's already leading the league in blocks. He's that dynamic defensively on that end. I thought he was going to be most improved player last year. But you always want to see his offense take a tick up. And maybe because Ja Morant, Desmond Bane, and Dylan Brooks get the share of that, he's going to take the backseat of that. But I always thought he had a little bit more to his offense on that side of the ball with his game. And we just have to see what that brings. And their bench, moving on to the bench, Tyrus Jones Jr., probably the best backup point guard in the league at 10 points and 5 assists. Brandon Clark, one of the best big men backups in the league at 10 and 4.5. Rebounds and 10 points per game. And Steven Adams, he seems like he's been in the league forever, but he just plays the same way. Aggressive on the glass, big, strong, sturdy, good defensive anchor for this team for Memphis, and is able just to play big and be able to attack, especially the offensive glass, giving guys a second chance opportunities and things like that nature. He's always going to be able to do that in his career. To see that continue for him and seeing Memphis play this way right now, picking up the win over the Pelicans tonight, but seeing them play this well, seeing them want to go after other teams, seeing them want to improve and get better. It's one of the calling cards of Memphis, grit and grind. I don't even know what to call it right now. Probably just swagger. They just play with a different edge, different level. And to see this team continuously do that, continuously be in the hunt, continuously to improve their young core and continue to be a family down there in Memphis has been impressive. I can't say enough about Memphis in terms of the job that they're doing that Taylor Jenkins doing down there in terms of just getting these guys to commit, play together, and they want to do that. Like there's a very good interaction. It seems like there's a lot of chemistry down there in Memphis, and hopefully you're seeing that. You're wondering if that carries them to the next level, because we've seen teams like this that blend together and then a contract issue comes in. The coach gets fired. The manager wants to move on. We've seen other things like that. A player demands a trade. We've seen that. So you're kind of wondering, is that going to happen with Memphis at some point? But right now they're playing well, trying to take over the West, especially over all the favorites. They're not the sexy pick in the Western Conference right now, but they're hanging tough and playing real well. One of the reasons for that is they're second in rebounding with 48.7 points per game, behind the Milwaukee Bucks. Fourth in field goals made at 42.9. But the issue with this team is they're not converting at the line. They're last in free throw percentage there at 71%. And you want to see that get up there, because if they're able to do that, that adds a little bit more points, a little bit more pressure there. That means guys aren't afraid to go to the line. Another thing they have to do is figure out how to stop fouling and keep Jaren Jackson Jr. on the floor, because he's that dynamic to have 3 blocks per game. And when teams play off Steven Adams off the floor, because he's going to be a matchup problem, especially on that end. When teams are spreading the floor, they're going to might try to keep him out there. But Jaren Jackson Jr. sliding down to the 5, if he's in foul trouble, that's going to be relying a little bit too much on Jaren Jackson Jr. and Brandon Clark to be that front line. Looking at their bench with the Concord and Zaire Williams and Tyrus Jones and Brandon Clark. I'm looking at these guys. I'm forgetting the guy Admita, I believe the guy from Spain, but he's been playing really well, shooting the ball well, being able to be an energy booster off the bench. That's promising for Memphis. I like their bench as well. The only thing I have concerns about is their free throw percentage, of course, and being a little too much Ja Morant centric. He's going to do everything that he can to win the game. He's already a facilitator. He's able to score and be able to improve his three-point shot. But in terms of what the rest of this team is, Desmond Bane had a nice start to the season. Can he recapture that as he's coming back from injury? Can Jaren Jackson Jr. step up? Because I think that's a big dynamic. If he's able to keep knocking down threes and stretch the floor and able to up his scoring a little bit, I think that's going to be really good for Memphis. Looking into the second quarter, that's what I'm looking to see, the development of that team. If Desmond Bane can come back, and seeing what Memphis could do. Could they make a trade potentially of Dylan Brooks and stuff like that and bring somebody in there to help? Maybe a little bit more shooting, a little bit more dynamic. We'll see. Memphis, that is an option on the table that they could do, but Memphis is staying together right now. Their chemistry is good. They're playing well, and we'll see what that takes them in the second quarter right before All-Star break.